Man dies in car accident. God went through all his sins during his life because he was lazy. He didn't care about his family, so he was sentenced to return to his family as a cat. And when he woke up again, he thought that what had just happened was just a dream. But when he looked out the window of the car, he was dumbfounded by what he saw. He found that he had really become a cat. He had no choice but to wander the park with other cats. The homeless man prepared leftover food for them. All the other cats ate it very well, only he found it hard to eat. He had to give his dinner to the cats on the side. When he was about to leave the place, the beautiful cat next to him suddenly called out to him. She came up to him and gave him a rubbing. The cat's boyfriend saw him. The boy came up and gave him a meowing dog. He was bruised all over his body. He was walking on the road in despair. He found a passerby eating a bun. He was so hungry. He took the opportunity to go into the convenience store. He hurriedly asked the owner to get him one to eat, but the owner thought the cat was lost. He picked him up and threw him out. He was left to starve and freeze under the overpass alone. The next day he was woken up by a little white cat. Snow White looked at his desperate state. He was advised to find a good home to live in. He thought twice and decided to go home first, but just as he got home, just in time for his funeral, because he was now a cat, his daughter and wife didn't even know it was him. His friends and family also thought he was a stray cat. Fearing that he would cause trouble, they kicked him out. At night, he was sitting downstairs alone. Daughter Yoshi found him and took her home. You told her mother that she wanted to adopt the cat. In exchange, Yoshi gave up her snacks, successfully kept the cat. Because he was a tiger-spotted cat, named him Mike, and so Mike became her daughter's pet. Yesterday he was a human being. Faced with cat food, is really not interested. He would often leave his daughter alone. He would rush back and eat the food on the table. Even if the daughter tried to stop him, it did not help. The mother looked at her daughter and Mike play so happily. She also enjoys it. She slowly got over the grief of his death. Mike gradually got used to his life as a cat. At night he would go under his wife and daughter's blanket. But the fun times always fly by. Looking at his wife's torn calendar, he recalled that God had told him he only had 1 month to live. He also cherished the time with his family more. But one day when he was out shopping with Snow White, he accidentally came to the supermarket where his wife worked. He was about to go in to say hello, but he happened to see his wife fainted on the floor. He rushed to get help. Luckily, the ambulance arrived in time. His wife was saved from death. He also wanted to follow him, but was pushed off by the paramedics. He ran home desperately. He banged on the window as hard as he could. He wanted to tell Yoshi that her mother was in trouble. He turned his head and his wife appeared behind him. You wondered why his mother had come home so early today. She put Yu's hand on her belly and told her that she was pregnant. But Yu was not so happy when she got the news. But Yu wasn't so happy after learning the news. Yu stayed up late at night. Mike found out that she was secretly learning to draw cartoons. The cartoons were all about the events that happened after she met Mike. But at the end he mentioned she didn't want the baby. Mike wanted to tell his wife about it, but she was too preoccupied with her cat to understand. At a loss, Mike looked up at the sky and said to God. He was surprised to find himself back in the sky again. He told God that because he had a baby again, he wanted to be human for the rest of his days. He wanted to spend more time with his family, but God did not grant his request. He also told him to cherish his last 2 days. Then he sent Mike back to Earth. Early the next morning, he overlooked the final chapter of Yu's new drawing. In the comic, Yu chased his father to the observation deck. Then he turned into an angel and went to heaven with his father. At this moment, Mike sensed that something was wrong. He thought his daughter would not want to rush out to chase. Good in the end found his daughter on the observation deck. At this time she was waiting for her father to take her to heaven. Mike tried to stop her, but he accidentally fell from the observation deck. He landed smoothly. He looked back and found that the observation deck was only this high. The daughter rushed down and hugged him. Only then did she tell the real reason why she didn't want her mother to have a baby. She was very upset about this little baby. She didn't want her to be born in such a poor family because of the death of her father. The death of her father added to the already poor family's woes. Mike also understood his daughter's feelings at this time. He sent her home. He thought back on the month's events. He planned to face the last few hours alone. Mom also told Xiaoyu about her father's last words. The two of them were trying to catch up on their drawings. Even though they were exhausted, he would find a way to make himself happy. And he also told his wife that if he died, even if he was sad, he had to look happy in front of his daughter. Thinking back to the past scenes, Mom finally could not help but shed tears. Xiaoyu also understood the mother's difficulties. After listening to the conversation between mother and daughter, Mike decided to do something for them before he left. He prayed again to God to make him human. He wanted to thank his family for all they had done for him. He wanted to be able to do something for the three of them with his best cartoon. To finish the last episode of his daughter's cat manga, even if he couldn't become a human at the end, he was willing to do so. God saw that he really wanted to give for his family. Finally, he agreed to his request. In a flash, he fell on the table at home. He found that he had really become a human. In order not to scare his family, he hid in a hurry. He waited until they were all asleep before creeping out. There was not much time left for him. He secretly took the painting tools. He took back his drawing tools. He put on his gloves again and started working on the cartoon. He had just stretched out when he found Yoshi walking in. My daughter thought she was dreaming. Mike also had to echo her that it was just a dream. But you suddenly apologized to him. Mike also cried and said he wanted to spend more time with his daughter. But you didn't cry and pushed her hand to her father's mouth. She wanted him to make her happy like before. Mike couldn't help but hug his daughter, but she fell asleep in her father's arms. In order not to wake up his wife, he carried his daughter to the living room. He came back and continued painting. Mike drew the whole month of his experience as a cat. He put it all into a cartoon. He finally finished his work before dawn. Then he took Yoshi back to the bedroom. Before he left, he touched his wife's face and his unborn child when he was about to leave. But his wife suddenly called out to him, but the two of them did not communicate too much. They just looked at each other and giggled. Mike also said goodbye to his wife in this happy atmosphere. The next day, you saw the Catman on the table. She also understood what her father had done for her. She found that some parts were not yet finished, so she picked up the brush with her mother and made adjustments to the painting. As she drew and painted, you grew up. She finally realized her dream. She became a cartoonist like her father.
Please subscribe, like, and ring the notification bell for more amazing contents like this one.